In 1947, at a place called Qumran near the Dead Sea, a Bedouin boy by the name of Muhammad Ardib was minding the clan's goats with a friend when one of the goats strayed up into one of the many caves in the area. The boys threw a stone at the goat to bring him back, but they missed. As the stone went into a cave, they heard the sound of a breaking pot. They climbed into the cave, hoping they might find some treasure. But all they found was some old pots with some very old scrolls inside. Well, their clan took them to the Bethlehem, where they sold to an antiquities dealer by the name of Kando for $500 US. Now, a short time later, those same scrolls were selling for $500,000 US. Now, that's inflation, isn't it? Little wonder that the Bedouin went looking for more scrolls in the caves, and they cut them up into little tiny squares, selling them each for 2 dinars a pop. Our archaeologists and other scholars were horrified, and they bought up as many of these little pieces as possible and scoured all of the surrounding caves for more scrolls. Well, today these scrolls are famously known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they're priceless. It's widely believed that a group of Jewish monks called the Essenes lived here at this ancient settlement of Qumran. And you can even visit the scriptorium room, where it's believed they copied their scrolls by hand. They even discovered writing benches and ink pots, like this one that you see here. But why are they so valuable? Well, firstly, they're very old, and anything old seems valuable today. Now, the style of the script, some coins discovered with them in some of the caves, and radiocarbon dating dated them as far back as 250 BC to 68 AD. The second reason they're so valuable is what they are. 40% of the scrolls were books found in the Bible's Old Testament, except the book of Esther. They actually found almost 2 complete scrolls of the book of Isaiah alone. Then, of course, another 30% were books not found in the biblical canon at all, and then another 30% of the scrolls concerned the rules and the beliefs of various sects of Judaism. Now, these scrolls were mainly written on parchment or animal hides. Some were on papyrus, and one was even written on copper. It's the biblical 40% of the scrolls that have attracted most attention, because they're some 1,000 years older than the oldest known copy of the Old Testament, the Codex Aleppo, which dates back to the 10th century AD. Have you ever played Chinese whispers? I'm sure you did when you were a kid. You know, you whisper something in someone's ear and you pass on around the circle from one ear to the next, and you remember what happens. When it gets back to you, it's drastically changed because messages were passed on around the circle incorrectly. Now, scholars thought something similar may have happened in the case of the Bible. Surely if you copy the original and then you copy from the copy and copy the copy of the copy of the copy down on through time, then they thought surely serious errors will be introduced. Now, of course, with these scrolls, scholars had the chance to test this theory by comparing the Codex Aleppo, the Bible you have or have seen in a motel room, with the Dead Sea Scrolls. So what was the result of such research? Well, for all intents and purposes, the meaning hasn't changed down through the centuries. The Bible has remained unchanged over thousands of years. It's essentially the same as back 2,000 years ago. We now know why. You see, Jewish scribes were very particular. They would do word counts, and sometimes if the count was incorrect, they would throw the manuscript away and they'd start all over again. Well, that'd be too bad if you made a mistake on the last sentence of a scroll as big as the Isaiah scroll, wouldn't it? You see, what this tells us is that the Bible was not written by some pious monk a few centuries ago. The oldest copies go back 2,000 years, and it's the same today as it was then. It's been transmitted accurately through the long centuries. You can trust this book and the messages it therefore contains. Now, if you want to discover more of the mysteries archaeologists have unearthed, go to our website where you can learn more in our free Digging Up the Past course.